In this video, we're going to explore a possibility that almost nobody talks about. Not whether Bigfoot exists, but why, if such a creature did exist, we might expect it to remain frustratingly difficult to observe. Could thousands of years of human expansion have created an evolutionary pressure unlike anything else in nature? Could intelligence itself become a reason to remain hidden? And could the blurry photographs, the uncertain encounters, and the fleeting glimpses between trees actually be pointing towards something far more interesting than simple misidentification? By the end of this video, we'll explore a possibility that transforms the mystery completely. Because what if the real question isn't why can't we find Bigfoot? What if the real question is, why do we assume something that evolved alongside human beings would ever allow itself to be found? This footage is nearly 60 years old, and somehow, we're still talking about it. A shaky reel of film captured deep in the forests of Northern California. 1967, a massive figure crossing a dry creek bed before briefly turning toward the camera. The Patterson-Gimlin film has become one of the most analyzed pieces of footage in modern history. To some people, it's an obvious hoax. To others, it's evidence of an undiscovered species hiding somewhere in the wilderness of North America. But maybe, both sides are missing something. Because the real mystery isn't whether the creature in the film is real. The real mystery is why encounters like this always seem to exist just beyond certainty. Every photograph, every video, every eyewitness account, always blurry, always distant, always incomplete. And maybe there's a reason for that. Not because people are lying, not because footage is fake, but because we may be looking at the problem the wrong way entirely.
If this investigation held your attention, hit the like button. It helps tell YouTube that stories like this are worth showing to more people. And if you want more documentaries that look beyond the witness, beyond the story, and into the evidence, subscribe. Because sometimes the strangest questions are the ones still waiting to be asked.
Human beings tend to assume that concealment means hiding behind something. A tree, in the shadows. But nature has already shown us something far stranger. The octopus can alter both texture and color almost instantly, blending into coral and stone so effectively that predators swim past without ever noticing it. The cuttlefish manipulates specialized skin cells called chromatophores, creating patterns that distort its outline and confuse perception itself. Even on land, creatures like the chameleon use adaptive coloration not to become invisible, but to interrupt recognition. And recognition matters, because the human brain does not see reality as clearly as we like to believe. Our minds fill gaps, they simplify patterns, they prioritize familiarity, especially in forests, especially in low light, and especially under stress. A dark figure standing motionless between trees and at 50 yards may not register as a living thing at all. It may register as shadow, movement, depth, confusion. And what if a species evolved specifically to take advantage of that weakness? Now imagine a highly intelligent, reclusive primate surviving for hundreds of thousands of years under one constant pressure. Avoid detection. Not just from predators, but eventually from us. Humans evolved to change the landscape, carry weapons, and hunt aggressively, cooperatively, and then spread across continents. Any population surviving alongside humanity would benefit enormously from one trait above all others: remaining unseen. Over immense stretches of evolutionary time, even subtle advantages compound. Muted movement, extreme environmental awareness, instinctive freeze responses, body shapes that break up recognizable outlines, dark hair absorbing light beneath dense forest canopy. Not invisibility, just something more sophisticated than we've considered. And suddenly the blurry footage stops being the punchline. It becomes part of the question, because maybe the reason these encounters always seem unclear is because clarity itself is the one thing this creature evolved to deny. Why would a powerful creature like Bigfoot evolve an adaptation like this if it was already near the top of the food chain? And this is where the idea begins to feel genuinely unsettling. Because nature already gives us examples of animals that could easily overpower a human being, yet still choose avoidance over confrontation. A full-grown gorilla possesses extraordinary physical strength. A grizzly bear can kill almost anything it encounters. Even large cats like mountain lions live within miles of human populations, without most people ever seeing them. And despite their advantages, they avoid us. Not because humans are stronger, but because humanity became something evolution had rarely encountered before. A species that hunts collectively, learns collectively, and remembers collectively. A single dangerous encounter with a predator dies with the predator, but human beings pass knowledge forward. Weapons improve. Tracking improves. Communication spreads. Territory expands, generation after generation. And history may already contain an example of what happens when another intelligent hominid species encounters that pressure. The disappearance of the Neanderthals remains one of the great mysteries of human evolution. Scientists still debate exactly why they vanished. Climate change may have played a role. Competition for resources may have mattered. Interbreeding likely occurred, but beneath all of those theories lies a darker possibility. That Homo sapiens were simply too adaptive, too numerous, too organized, too relentless. Not necessarily stronger than every rival species, just impossible to compete with over long enough periods of time. And if another reclusive hominid species existed alongside early humans, what traits would survive under that kind of pressure? Probably not aggression. Probably not open confrontation. The individuals most likely to survive would be the ones best at remaining undetected. The quietest, the most cautious, the most aware of terrain and movement over thousands, perhaps hundreds of thousands of years. Even subtle concealment advantages could become amplified through natural selection. Not invisibility, not science fiction, adaptation. A body shape difficult to distinguish in dense woodland. Movement patterns designed to minimize detection, dark coloration beneath forest canopy. Instinctive freeze responses. An extreme sensitivity to human activity. And perhaps most importantly, an inherited understanding that contact with humans is dangerous. Because maybe the question isn't, why do we never clearly see this creature? Maybe the real question is, why would a species surviving alongside humanity ever allow itself to be seen clearly in the first place? Suddenly the blurry photographs, the distant sightings, the fleeting movement between trees, stop sounding like contradictions and start sounding exactly like the outcome we should expect. So maybe the reason this mystery has survived for generations isn't because nobody has looked hard enough. Maybe it's because we've been asking the wrong question from the very beginning. For decades, people have searched for proof as if this creature were supposed to behave like every other animal we know. Leave tracks, stand in the open, move predictably, allow itself to be studied. But what if survival itself became the adaptation? What if remaining uncertain, remaining unseen, became the very thing that allowed it to endure while other species disappeared? This world is filled with creatures stronger than us, creatures faster than us, creatures perfectly capable of killing us, and yet even they learned something humanity still struggles to understand: that the most dangerous thing in the forest was never the predator. It was us. And if a reclusive species evolved alongside human beings for thousands of years, watching us expand, watching us hunt, watching us erase every competing species we encountered, then maybe avoiding us wouldn't just become behavior. Maybe it would become instinct. Which leads to a disturbing possibility that maybe countless hikers, hunters, campers, and explorers have passed within yards of one of these creatures and never realized it. Not because the creature wasn't there, but because seeing it clearly was never something it evolved to allow. Maybe that's why these stories exist in fragments. A silhouette between trees, a sound in the darkness, movement at the edge of perception, a feeling of being watched that vanishes the moment you focus on it. Not evidence strong enough to end the mystery, but just enough to keep the mystery alive. And maybe that's the point, because if something has survived beside humanity for this long, without revealing itself completely, then perhaps the real mystery isn't whether we found it, but why. It spent so much time making sure we never do.